So I wanted to actually highlight also three distinct things that happened during the last 2 weeks over the coverage of the both conventions that just kind of really display what's really going on here as far as media goes, and just as far as the way our culture is really, the way things are going in this country. And so one is in relation to the Angel Mom her appearance was canceled on the RNC. The second is the people who have been mocking Melania Trump's accent, and then 3 was the criticism of the Rose Garden event with Melania Trump. So the first thing, the Angel Mom, that was, by the way, if you don't know what an Angel Mom is, it's basically the mom of someone who was killed by an illegal alien or illegal immigrant that's a criminal that wasn't caught sooner, and it ended up resulting in the death of, or the murder of, a child, or someone's child. So her appearance was canceled because she had tweeted out some what they're reporting as anti-Semitic comments. The tweet was something in reference to Jews wanting to secretly rule the world and then enslave everyone who's not a Jew. You can take that for what it is, but the problem I had with it was not that they're debunking that, but they... First of all, before I get into the actual tweet, I don't understand how people who have been canceled recently, I believe Nick Cannon was one of them, and there's a football player and someone else, I don't remember who it was, who got in trouble for tweeting out or talking about on podcasts or whatnot that Jews are running the world, or that there are a lot of high-profile people or high-ranking people in companies and in politics and whatnot around the world who are Jewish, and they've been implying that Jews are more successful and are running the world, and I think that's what's been contributing to that conspiracy theory, which I debunk. I don't believe they're trying to enslave all non-Jews, and that's their goal of getting to the top of these companies and whatnot. My problem is, how do they believe that people think that being Jewish, or implying that Jews are running the world, let's say, is a bad thing if it's a result of their faith putting forth, emphasis on hard work and on excellence and doing well, which results in them being successful and results in them moving up in companies or being put in positions of power because they are successful, they do well, and whatnot. I don't understand how that can be anti-Semitic. And the other thing I wanted to say was, why is it not okay to say that Jews are successful, as we're implying that their religion is what has helped them be successful from the values of that? It's not okay to be that, and that is anti-Semitic. But it is okay to say all white people have privilege and that the only reason someone's successful is because of this color of their skin. Which one is it? Pick a side. Either saying Jews are running the world is racist or is anti-Semitic, and saying white people are privileged or down with white people, whatever it is anti-white, or it's not. Pick a side. Either everything that is associated with a race just because of their race or because of their religion or because of whatever is bad, or it's not. Just wanted to throw that out there. And the last thing I want to talk about as far as the Angel Mom's incident is the media wanted to kind of say that she is a QAnon, Trump-supporting Angel Mom, right? They couldn't just say her comments were anti-Semitic and say that's the reason that it was happening. They said, oh, it's a QAnon conspiracy, and maybe Trump came to his senses and stopped and is anti-Semitic all of a sudden, or isn't racist, or whatever it is. And it's why can't you just say that this Angel Mom, which that's kind of what she's known as, so that's fine, but to call her that, her anti-Semitic comments is what had her pulled from speaking at the RNC. And of course, they can't just not stop there. There's a reason. It's because they want to associate this bad incident with everything peripherally or around her that they want to paint as bad as well, which is QAnon, which is Trump. So these things if they can hit all these birds with one stone, they're going to do it. Or the one story, they're going to try to do it, right? So they haven't yet debunked. I actually left a comment on one of the videos saying, anyone want to debunk what she tweeted? Like, anyone? And I haven't gotten a response yet, so I don't know. Or my comment was removed, probably. That's probably what it is. But they don't want to debunk what's actually being said in these controversial comments that they want to kind of cancel people for. They want to associate it with things that other people don't like, and then that's kind of what discredits what's being said instead of just focusing on what's being said. So that's their tactic. We know it is their tactic, but I think a lot more and more people are seeing through it. I know I am, so maybe you think the same way I do. So that was one. Two was Melania's speech, which it was a standard speech. She's well-spoken. She's put together. She's beautiful. I mean, those are all the things that we see when we see Melania Trump, which is why we don't see her as much in the public eye or in media, is because they don't want anyone to believe that Trump could have a wife that's an immigrant with an accent, that is intelligent, that speaks 5 languages, that's beautiful. Yeah, people just don't want to believe it because it goes against the narrative. But there was comedian Kathy Griffin, if we can call her a comedian at this point. At this point, I think of her looking back as someone who was humorously telling stories of her interactions with Hollywood people throughout the years and kind of exposing them. I don't know if that's a comedian, but we each have our own definition. And then Bette Midler, who is a singer, actress, she was also mocking the accent of Melania, which it's so dumb because they claim to be supporters of a party that is supposed to be about tolerance and acceptance and love and light and hope. And then they just stoop to this level just like that. And it's just like, this is how delusioned some people are that support that party, especially a lot of the high profile ones. And unfortunately, some other people follow their lead. And when it comes to Trump, they just are so delusioned by him. It's unreal to really be watching. But also, if you were listening to Melania's speech, I mean, you could understand every word she was saying. And anyone who's been around someone with an accent, whether it's a foreign accent or an accent from somewhere in the U.S., which, by the way, we have multiple accents here too, you wouldn't really have an issue with the speech, or it wouldn't have been hard to understand. I know personally in college, most of my professors in my major specific classes as far as engineering goes, and even outside of that, were majority had pretty strong accents from countries all over the globe, whether it was an Indian accent or a Middle Eastern or a Latin accent or Spanish, whatever you want to call it, or whatever accent you want to say, or even Asian descent. So it was pretty widespread. It was pretty interesting looking back. All it took was really kind of 1 or 2 classes to really focus and listen into what they were saying to kind of understand what their accent was in certain words and kind of how they say them. And after that, it was pretty smooth sailing. Like, you could understand them the rest of the semester or however long you had them. And then from then on, it was a lot easier, and you kind of got better as you had more and more exposure to people with accents. So I don't understand what their angle and what they were trying to do in this case. It just, clearly they seem like they just said something that they shouldn't have, or they wish they didn't have. But I'm actually glad that they said these things, because it's kind of exposing people for who they really are. So that was kind of an interesting thing that I was kind of shocked. But honestly, are we shocked at this point? No, I don't think we really are. So anyways, and then last thing I want to talk about as far as interesting things that happened as far as Melania's speech was the Rose Garden. The big controversy behind her speech was that the only people who got tested for the coronavirus that were there, it was a few hundred people, were the ones sitting directly around President Trump, who was kind of in the front, in the aisle in the corner, and there was like people around him there. So apparently that was the only people who got tested. Of course, the First Lady probably got tested too. But if that's the only thing you can find wrong with the speech, I think it was a pretty good speech. And what I keep saying in my head is, these people go at their own will. If you were not comfortable being around all those people, you didn't have to go. And from what I've been reading, all these people have been asked screening questions as far as like the normal thing, like when you go to the dentist, when they ask you, do you have any symptoms of COVID-19? Have you been exposed to anybody with COVID-19? And that's pretty much it. That's all they ask. And if both those are no and no, then that's kind of up to you to decide if you still want to go. But this is kind of one of the main reasons I think people have enjoyed, I think I've mentioned this before, but have enjoyed the RNC over the DNC, is that when they were watching and they weren't being interrupted by pundits, which is why I know I did, and it seems that a lot more people were watching the live streams instead of the actual news networks because they weren't interrupting on the live streams. It's felt like this is why people liked the RNC over the DNCs, because it felt a little bit more normal. A lot of people want to go back to normal. They don't want to be stuck in this perpetual cycle of doom and gloom, and the virus is never going to go away, and you must be locked in your home all the time, you can't go back to work, you can't blah, blah, blah. People want to get out of that as soon as possible. So watching the RNC actually gave you a sense of things are getting back to normal, even if that normal is President Trump like talking about things you don't like him talking about or you don't agree with. So there's that.